Thank you everyone for joining us. I know it was a bit of challenge to coordinate three time zones of US, India, and Singapore, but we have managed to do it. First of all, I'm Kanchana, founder of VLOOKUP.ai, the mentoring platform that most of you are part of either as a mentor or a mentee. I'm not going to take much time and just introduce our great mentor, Shinde. Shraddha has kindly offered to do this workshop on the top of her busy schedule all the way from Houston in New York, in US. It's 7:30 her time, but she's very passionate about this subject of how do we keep the young students and those who are looking to transition from college to corporate, and what kind of skills they need to keep themselves with, what kind of resume skills they need to have, interview skills that they need to have. And we will be recording this session and sharing with you all, guys, but feel free to go ahead and share the recorded session with your wider network as well, your friends or anyone who can benefit from it. That will be great. And with that, I hand over to Shraddha to start the session. And once again, Shraddha, thank you so much. I will leave it to you to introduce
Thank you.
yourself.
Yes, of course. Thank you so much, Kanchana. And I'm really glad of what you and the team is doing here. And to the students, definitely this is a very good platform that all of you had. Maybe I wish I was with such platform some 16 years back when I started this transition. But really grateful to the work that you all are doing over here. So for the students, I think I'm very excited. As Kanchana mentioned, right now I'm in Texas, Houston, and there have been a lot of transitions. So I have around total 16 years of experience, and starting from campus to corporate, similar to what you all are going through right now. I was also one time doing my engineering and then moving big tech organization, data consultancy services. So it was a moment. Then I transitioned my career from engineering to HR, then from HR to different geographies, Asia Pacific, Singapore, and then now to the States. So from one company, one industry to another industry. So all these transitions have been challenging in its own aspects. But having said this, in my personal opinion, I thought the transition from campus to corporate has always been the toughest one. It's not just my experience, but over the span of like 16 years of my HR career, I have met a number of students. I have interacted, hired, and trained a lot of juniors, and I'm sure that if you have to make this transition smooth and take yourself to the next level when you enter the corporate world, you need to spend time, and that is what we are going to do in today's masterclass. It is packed with a lot of strategies, and I don't expect all of you all to become masters in this journey just by going through this class. So I would highly recommend all of you to make some notes and make this as a habit. Whatever we're going to speak today might sound a lot of high level, but if you start doing those micro things and implementing those in your day to day activities, make that as an habit, I am sure success is not going to be far from y'all. So, with that, I think I'll get started. Yep. So, quickly, I would like to hear from all of y'all. What is that one word you associate when we say corporate life? I know it's a big word, but what does come to your head? Well, so while I give more time to others, I'm going to pop up the next question for all of y'all. So, what's a habit you're working on to be more corporate ready? So with all those things that you think about corporate life, are you putting in some efforts towards building up good habits for becoming corporate ready? Anything. It could be like I have started writing down my skills. I have started writing down my achievements. What is more important? This is an easy question. Salary or purpose? All right. With interest and time, I'll just go to my last question. You don't necessarily need to highlight or mention this in the chat right now, but do ponder over this question, think over this. What's your biggest strength in a team setting? I'm sure all of you would have worked in various team formats within your academic curriculum, but building that strength that you have, like you are a good team player, you are able to articulate something, you are able to make slides and present it, whatever is that strength, try to build on that. So the first step is to identify what it is. That's very important. All right. So what we're going to do in this session is this is specifically curated for all of y'all, and I'm going to talk on three important aspects over here. One is the mindset shift. Right now, you are trained to have a particular mindset which is really equipped for going through the academic curriculum. But when you enter into the corporate world, it is very important for you to have some kind of shifts, some tweaks in your day to day mindset, how you look at things. We're going to talk about those. We are also going to focus on some communication skills, how you're going to build relationships at workplace, what kind of technical upskilling you're going to do. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm also going to share a lot of actionable strategies throughout the session. So please try to note them down, because as I mentioned in the beginning, it is going to be important for you to make this as a habit. It's not something that you do these things only to get your first job and that is the end of learning. It is not like that, trust me. Me as well as a lot of other professionals would have said this, we still learn things, we still unlearn and relearn. So that journey has to continue. It's an incremental process, so make sure that you make note of certain things and try to implement them in future. So, with those objectives in mind, we will move on to the first section of the presentation. One is how you're going to make the professional mindset change, how you're going to embrace the workplace, that wherever it is going to be. It's going to be a IT firm, or it is going to be any other industry like banking, finance. There are plethora of opportunities, but every workplace will have need to change in the mindset. You will need to have a professional mindset. So we're going to talk about that. So what do you really mean by a growth mindset? So when I say growth mindset, on the left hand side of the slide, you would see what you have today. Maybe what is your thinking, or what is your thought process from an academic perspective. But how are you going to shift it to the corporate mindset? That is very important. I'll give you a very small example. When you're going through the interviews, present yourself to showcase your ability to apply those skills and practical work. Like generally what happens when I interact with students, they have so much to talk about what courses they completed, what skills they achieved. Like I know Java, I know Python, I know I have completed embedded course, I have completed C++ course. But what I would request you to do is, yes, this is all good to have, but you should also be able to articulate how you're going to apply that at work, because the companies are interested to know what you can do for the companies, what you could do for your employers, how are you going to use those skills at workplace. So that's more important. So what you I recommend here is, convert the skills that you have learned in school to an ability to implement them in practice. And how you can do that? In an interview setting, as I was mentioning, you could bring up examples showcasing how you implemented certain thing. Talk a lot about practical projects, how you implemented it. Like for example, if you have learned embedded C, how you used that embedded C knowledge to develop a product. So bring those things when you talk to your employers. That's step one. And for this, there is a lot of work that you will have to do. Is you will have to go through the 4 years of study that you have done and try to note down things what you really learned and how you are going to apply it. So that's your step one. Taking few examples here, like for example, today you focus on a lot of grades, correctness, because you know what success looks like. You know that getting 70 percentage, getting 80 percentage is being successful, or clearing the entire curriculum, which is very structured. But when you move to workplace, you really do not know what success looks like, right? Until you talk to a lot of people, until you gather a lot of colleagues, you have mentors, you will not know what success looks like. So bring that mindset where you talk about yourself with people, as well as you try to understand what people are doing, what is making them successful, what their journeys were like. Because see, this is one life. This is what I tell all my juniors whenever I talk to them. This is one life, and you cannot experience all the failures that a person would have gone through to become successful. So how you're going to do it? You're going to learn it from the mentors, you're going to learn it from your colleagues. Okay, he failed or he had a backlash because of certain things, I am going to improve. So that is how you're going to build your career. So ultimately, academic mindset, it's mastery of certain content. Very good, you've done your first step. Now you have to move this to adaptability. Adaptability means the content is going to be very ambiguous when you move to corporate. It's not going to be fixed or structured. It's going to be evolving priorities. Like today you have AI in the market, everyone wants to do something in AI, then there's generative AI, then there are a lot of stuff that keeps on changing at a very fast space. So adaptability becomes the key, and then driving results, income, your outcomes and your impacts make a lot of meaning. So, as I mentioned, how are you going to do this? How are you going to shift your perspectives? So, the key here is to start adapting, learn, unlearn, and repeat for incremental success. So, what you have learned today, you might have to unlearn maybe in a year's time or 2 years' time. So, build that capacity for yourself. Don't get stuck in a loop that I had learned something in a waterfall model, I'm going to continue to do it like that. No, things have become agile, things have changed. So, how are you going to unlearn it and then repeat the process of learning? So, try to build that ability with. I've just given simple affirmations over here from I need to know, which is what you do today. I need to know the skill. I need to know what is TCS doing. I need to know what Wipro does. But here, from that mindset, I would recommend you all to start saying, I am here to learn. So wherever you go, you may or may not land up into those big five, six companies, but then wherever you go, whichever company you go, you are there to learn. So try to have that kind of a mindset. Look at every mistake as a feedback and not as a failure, because that is your journey towards success. Everything, if you look at from a failure perspective, you will get bogged down by what is going on around, because there's so much to see in the corporate world. But if you take it as a feedback, pick up what you really need to improve, work over it, you will definitely be successful. Don't wait for instructions. That's the first and foremost thing I would say as students. And I'm going to say that a few times in the presentation today, because I definitely don't encourage all of y'all to sit and wait for instructions, because there's no one has time to give you instructions at workplace. So you take initiatives, ask as many questions as you could, gather inputs from wherever you can, and make this going, because it's going to be very fast. It's not going to be as structured, as planned as your academic career. So start taking initiatives and getting better each day at doing what you love to do. Changing in mindsets, I think I spoke about a lot of good practices that you could implement, and a lot of shifts or positive affirmations that you could start working on. But I would like to call upon these two things. One is accountability and adaptability, extremely important at workplace, um, which we may or may not have experienced in your college life, because we are accountable only for our individual success. I am accountable to get adapted to my network and my curriculum and perform for myself in college. But that doesn't happen at workplace. Workplace is going to be very different. Let me tell you a small story over here. So there was this intern similar to all of y'all here. um, let's call her Aisha for the sake of the story. So Aisha was assigned to help prepare a client presentation, and she was very meticulous at her work. But in her eagerness to impress, she accidentally sent an outdated version of the deck to the client. See, basically, she sent out a wrong presentation to the client, which messed up a lot of key updates that team had done for days together. And as soon as she sent, she realized the mistake. So what do you think Aisha should do in this situation? Any comments there? Do you think Aisha did a big mistake and there's no nothing for her to come back, or she could still make up something with this mistake? What do you all think? What would she do? As Shirisha mentioned, I think yes, first she needs to, instead of panicking and getting deflected, she needs to inform her manager. She needs to take the full responsibility of what went wrong. And what Aisha also did is she proposed a solution to take full responsibility, and at the same time, she explained why it happened. She corrected the version and sent it back to the client with a follow up summary. She also offered to stay late that particular day so that everything is smooth and the client is able to get what he or she needed to have. So, with this thing, what exactly did she demonstrate? So, one thing that she demonstrated is accountability. She took the full responsibility of what she made as a mistake, and she stayed calm. She was honest enough, and she, even under pressure, was calm to provide a solution, give that extra time, because that demonstrates transparency and professionalism. So as I think Shirisha, you were right on this. If you are able to make those real time decisions, even under pressure, you definitely are able to build a lot of stress. And at workplace, adaptability is not just being friends with your team members or just being known by the team around, but it is about staying calm, thinking properly, and then turning your setbacks into opportunities. Same what our Aisha did. She turned out this particular mistake into an opportunity. Her manager was impressed by her honesty and her initiativeness, and then she also avoided a potential disaster that would have happened. So that is what I request, or I urge all of you all to try to take the ownership of your work as well as being adaptable in the workplace. That's very important. All right. I think we'll move to the next part of the presentation. I'm not going to spend much of time because I'm sure you all would have heard this, all would have heard it from a lot of people throughout your engineering or throughout your graduations. What I'm only going to highlight is build a habit of learning, because learning is going to take you to the next level. Everyone, there are like so many people who are going to compete with similar skills, with similar degrees in hand, but how are you going to stand out of this entire big crowd is through learning. So my honest and humble suggestion to all of you is do micro learnings. I do it even today, even after having kids, even after having a lot of personal responsibilities. Doing those micro learnings, spending just 15 to 30 minutes a week to learn something new is extremely crucial in the fast-paced world. So highly recommended. And then there are a lot of certifications in online learning available. I've just put them on the screen, but I'm sure all of you know more about it, so take a lot of advantage of those, because after every learning you I mean online learning or certification, there's something you draw back and start using at your workplace. So that's also going to be very important. And for strategies for your success is be present. What you learn, make sure that you are able to articulate, make sure that you are able to tell it to someone. Very simple thing how I started this, maybe you could also start. I was very nervous telling what I learned in a forum like this, or in a forum where I met my friends. I was like, why should I tell about what I learned? So what I started doing is I started writing blogs, so where you would just note down what you learned and then fine tune those blogs. Then I started implementing how I'm going to write it, such that I'm writing it as a story for someone to get inspired. Then how I'm going to market myself, how I'm going to create a brand for myself. So start writing first. If you're nervous about speaking, if you're able to do speaking job, fantastic, that's going to be the success story for you. But if you're nervous, start by writing. Make a notepad where you start just noting down what are your success stories, how you're going to learn things, how are you improving over those. That will take you a long way. And then how are you going to accelerate growth? So once you have done all of this continuously for yourself, that is going to put you onto a acceleration journey where you then have the courage to gather feedback. When I say when you have to ask for feedback, go 360-degree. What do you mean by 360-degree? Is do not hesitate to get feedback from wherever possible. I'm a mom to a teenage daughter, and I do ask her feedback about my presentations, even today. So, no feedback is a waste, I would say. So, you should go and ask feedbacks from your managers, your peers, your juniors, someone who is in college doing your second year degree, third year degree. Go and ask, is this the right way? Is this the right skill I'm using? Is this the right code I'm developing? So go and ask, make that as an habit. And it should not be one instance or an event, it has to be a continuous practice. The very simple strategy here: start, stop, and continue. Ask, what should you start doing? If you're not aware, get mentors. I'm sure VLOOKUP has provided that opportunity to all of y'all. You definitely have interacted with a lot of mentors, and that is what you should ask them. How you're going to take benefit of this mentoring program that VLOOKUP has provided is you're going to ask these right questions. What should I start doing? What should I stop doing? Because you do not have a lot of time and energy. So you need to stop certain things and start some certain things. So you should have a list of what you need to stop doing and also what you should continue doing. So always have these three things listed for yourself in your mind to have a focused, accelerated growth in your career. So that brings an end to the shift in mindset. I think I've spoken a lot about how you're going to have tweaks in your mindset, how you're going to have that positive mindset prepared for the workplace, growth mindset to cultivate habits of workplace. So now the next important part that I wanted to cover for this session is how you're going to communicate with impact. Communication is, when I go with a broad definition of communication, it is an interaction or a way of expressing your own thoughts. But at workplace, it has to be impactful because your managers, your clients is not going to be available to you forever. You will not have that opportunity to build a relationship and then make an impact. Like, let me just talk to the person and then I will start building a relationship. It doesn't work like that. You sometimes might have just 30 seconds. Have that 30 seconds speech for yourself ready. What you are and who you are, what you could do to the employer, should be able to tell at any time of the day. At any hour of the day, you should be able to tell it in 30 seconds. That is called as having your elevated speech ready. If you meet your CEO in the elevator, you should be able to impress him. So that's the level we all should target to achieve. I know it's not something which you're going to achieve it one fine day, but it's going to be pivotal for you to bring in this as a habit, and then you will someday be there. Okay, so we are going to cover a little bit about how you're going to communicate with impact at workplace. Now, looking at the slide, you might think, ma'am, we definitely know a lot of emails and etiquettes around it. We know how to write, but I would, in this forum, for this particular masterclass, I would like to reiterate certain things. You should definitely write. Today's world is global, and you will not have a chance to be face to face with your clients or be in person majority of the time. So, example, I did not meet my client whom I was working with for 4 years. So it was all on emails, and those days we were not so comfortable going on video calls, and it used to be more on chat, like what we have Teams today. We did not even have Teams in those days. So how do you really make a connect with such a person? That's through your email. So emails become extremely important. the tone and the words, the choice of your words, and how you frame your sentences reflects your personality and who you are as a person. So, one extremely important thing, even if you're writing a one liner email, proofread your email, align the words, tone, and your framing of the sentences. That's very important because that's the visual impression of a person who you are. Okay. Second thing is, don't be impulsive. Take your time, think and respond. My manager or my mentor, he's my mentor now, he always used to say that if you have to build a good relationship like in your marriage at work, you definitely need to have impressive writing skills, have impressive email writing skills. So I think that's a crucial thing over here. And then okay, a few things to avoid. Reply to all blunder. I know you would have heard this, but calling this out because these are extremely important. Do not do this at all in your career. Not now, never. The angry draft that is sent too soon, the missing subject line, informal notes. Even if the person is very friendly, you would have exchanged a lot of personal notes on your emails. Make sure you are not informal. It always has to be formal because that's a formal mode of communication. Do not cross the lines. Then a missing attachment, this happens very often, and senior managers get quite disappointed with a small mistake. They are not even interested to look at a presentation if this mistake happens at times. So please be careful and don't write lengthy emails. Leadership doesn't have time to read all of that, so try to summarize and try to work on it. Very important. Every communication that happens, try to reflect what went well, what could I have done better. You've written an email, you've written a presentation or a summary file. Every time keep thinking what you could do better, because every time you will find something in that. So spend some time in reflecting on what you're doing. That's very important. So now you would be saying that I have been very good with my friends. I interact. I know how to use my skills. I know how to develop codes. I want to work with my team. So, what does this team really mean? So, in a workplace, the team is a group of people with different skill sets. They may or may not have same skill sets. They may or may not be of the same age group. They might be of different generations. Your project manager would be as old as your father, or your team lead would be as old as your elder brother. So in those situations, and it is again a mixed group of people sitting at different locations, so the definition of team is not as simple as what you think today, because in your college you've been with that group of people for a very long time. You know the backgrounds, you know how and what you're going to do with them, and all of you together have a common goal to achieve after the end of 4 years of your curriculum. But when it comes to workplace, every individual has a different objective, and together as a team you all have one objective. So how do you become productive in such a diverse group of people? How do you start making an impact over there? Because it's very important. There are two or three types of personalities that you would see in your first interaction. There are people who are extremely dominant, and you generally feel so nervous to talk in front of such people that you are not able to express what you know. Or flip side of it, there will be silent people. They have just been doing their work. They don't ask questions. They don't share information. But you still need to work with them, and still need to get your work done from them. So it's very difficult to interact with such people. So how do you really become a productive team member is extremely crucial over here. So one thing I would recommend is active listening skills. I'll tell you one very powerful statement. It is like, you can seek attention if you give attention. So when you are 100% attentive, when you're team members are speaking, or whenever whoever is speaking, just be don't present or available for the meetings. Be actively listening within those meetings. Try to understand everything that is going around you. Whatever simple statements are being said, try to understand those, because only then you are going to respond with impact. You're going to respond with the right responsibilities, or response with the right responses. Otherwise you will not be able to speak up in such meetings, nor will you be able to build those relationships with your team members. So to work as a group, active listening skills are very important, and then collaboration is important. There would be situations at workplace where you would think, yes, I know how to solve this problem and I have a solution in my mind. But hold, listen to what the entire team wants. Then you find the right opportunity to share what your team is going to do, and then mutually agree on how you're going to develop that solution, how the team job is assigned. So mutual agreement is very important. Collaborating with your team members is important, and that all will build a trust and respect that will come only through open communication, and you will then be able to understand the team dynamics and become productive. Okay, I hope this makes sense. I'm just checking on the chat if there are any questions of the session. Now you've built on your mindset, you have changed it. It is a growth mindset. You have worked a lot on your communication. You worked a lot on how you can become a very productive team member. Now the next point is how you're going to make lasting impressions and build professional relationships at workplace. So very important things over here is how you're going to effectively network, what are those techniques, and how you're going to make impressions at workplace. So we are going to talk about those a little bit over here. I have put down very simple things. I am sure all of you would have learned this, but we rarely practice this in our college days, in our academics. So reiterating them over here. So it's a shift, behavioral shift to make a positive impact. Very simple changes in behavior, such as being punctual, being attentive, can take you a long way. Because if you show that you are punctual and attentive towards someone else's work, that person is compelled to pass on the same respect of time and trust when it is your time to get that. So it's a mutual relationship. If your boss is speaking and you're just lost in a meeting room thinking of your own stuff, like what am I going to do over weekend, what am I going to do with my friends today, it will definitely have a setback, because you are interacting with people who are not of your age. Maybe they are not thinking like you, maybe they are not having life choices like what you are going through. But when you are attending a professional meeting, try to be 100% attentive, try to be punctual, respect time, and earn trust. So, as I said this in the last slide, also, I am again saying it, be present but not just available. If you're unable to focus someday, try to explain this to your team lead or team member that because of this, I was unable to focus, and apologize for it and try to make yourself available at an alternative time. This is a very small thing, but it will take you a long way in a professional environment. So I would leave you with the thought that professional habits are built in classroom. This is all what you have learned for the last 21 years, right from your childhood to date. But all these habits are tested at workplace. How you react to certain things, how reliable are you, that builds your workplace habit. So professional habits are built in classroom but tested at workplace. Keep this in mind forever. So few strategies over here. I'll take a pause over here with only one tagline that I want to say is, whenever you're building networks, what does that really mean? It is finding out mentors, professors, or knowing people from your industry. Like if you are working in IT industry, you should know different levels of people. You should talk to someone who is 5 years in the IT industry, someone who is 10 years in the IT industry, because that will help you to understand the career path. Do you want to become like that person after 10 years? That's very important. So building those network and relationships at work is extremely important. If I'll take a pause for you all to read what is put up on the slide. So these are some of the corporate readiness guide that I have prepared. So as I mentioned, creating first impressions, sharing your experiences, and developing a collective learning is very important. So please reflect on those. We'll move to the next topic that we have, and I'll request Kanika to just post this in the chat group for the participants to utilize at a later point in time. So there are a certain set of learning platforms that you children, I mean the students could leverage on and prepare themselves for industry relevant skills. So these are data-driven skills that you could start working on. Understanding and applying data-driven approaches can boost professional value, which also means that how you're going to incorporate the skills that we spoke in the last slides, how you're going to incorporate those skills in a practical world. So having a data-first mindset is very important over here. I'll give you a very simple example. If I have to say that students prefer online learning, instead of making such a statement, I would make it more data driven, which where I would say that based on the analysis done for a duration for 1 year, it is observed that 85% of the students prefer online learning. So if you make it evident with some data support, I think that makes more that draws more value when you talk in corporate world. So try to be more data driven. Whichever skill that you adopt or whichever company that you join, being data driven is extremely important. Like for example, even if I'm working in HR, I still need to keep myself abreast with data-driven mindset, where I learn data techniques, where I learn data analysis, visualization, and there's a plenty of things available in today's world. So I would definitely request all of you all to be data-driven in your projects or in your workplace as well. Okay, so here's an activity. I think this is very simple. I don't want you all to do this activity right now, but I would request all of you all to take this activity back home and try to complete it. So the activity is very simple, where you have to identify a skill gap. Like for example, I've given one example also here, and you can identify a similar example for yourself, that I want to learn Excel and data analysis. So what is the action that I'm going to do is complete a LinkedIn course through which I'm going to learn, which will take me 3 hours. Then I'm going to practice it with some sample data. So have a very defined action for yourself. Do not write very vague and put a target for yourself which is not achievable. What is the timeline I'm putting here is 4 weeks. Even if the course is only for 3 hours and I'm going to practice it maybe for another 5 6 hours, I'm still putting a timeline of 4 weeks, because I'm going to do this as along with regular activities I have. So and then how to measure what you learned. Try to build something on your dashboards or case study in this. To identify, try to implement something towards the end of it to make sure that your entire goal is completely achieved. So Kanika, if you could just drop this templates. I've prepared a template. Yeah, she's already done. Thank you so much, Kanika. This template is definitely going to help you download it, and then you could fill it up as many times as you want. Do a lot of iterations and keep growing. That's what I would say. So now that we talk about how we are going to grow, or how we are going to make changes to ourselves, now let's see some. I mean, these are not going to cover everything, but these are some of those real workplace scenarios that are that you all are going to face, and based on that, how you're going to react. I'm just going to demonstrate some examples. So I'm going to skip that slide. I'll just move to these real scenarios and strategies to handle real workplace scenarios. So how do you manage ambiguity? What does that mean? So you are asked to work on a new tool you haven't used before. So in this situation, what is going to be your reaction? If anyone is open to just unmute and talk about it. Yes, yes, that's one way of doing it. Definitely, you're going to ask for help. So how are you going to ask for that help? So first thing is you are going to do some work yourself to ask for help. How you're going to go and ask what you need as a help is break down the task. You're going to research something on your own and then ask clarifying questions. And as you said, Vijay, you're going to seek inputs from your colleagues instead of struggling alone. So this is very important at workplace. You have to take instant decisions and keep the ball rolling instead of just sitting at a task that I don't know what to do. It's not going to help. As Vijay mentioned, yes, you have to ask for help, and for which you have to first do a little bit of research, try to break down the task. Very good. Thank you, Vijay. So the next one is handling feedback. So, for example, if your manager says your report needs improvement but doesn't give you a lot of details, he just says, "Go improve. This is not up to the mark." So I think going back with what Vijay mentioned earlier, again, yes, this also has a lot of questions to ask, but you have to ask very specific questions now here because you are dealing with a personality of your manager which doesn't allow him to share a lot of details. There are different types of personalities at workplace, and he is one of those who doesn't want to really share a lot of things. So you have to ask very pointed questions to such a person. Could you share one or two areas that you think needs an improvement? And I will definitely act on it. So if you ask him one or two areas, he's going to just give you two areas, and then that will become your pathway to improve. So that's going to be important. Then about time management and prioritization. uh, so for example, this is a scenario: you get three tasks from different people at the same time. Quite naturally you would think, as a trainee, I should not go and speak. It's not nice for me to go and speak about my time, but that will impact the quality of work that you're going to deliver. So what you're going to do is you are going to ask for urgency, clarify how urgent the things are, communicate the expected delivery times. So be open. It is definitely acceptable at workplace if you are able to explain your logic and putting a structure to it. Definitely it is appreciated, and that is how you are going to deliver with quality also. The next scenario I have is building a professional presence. You are in your first client meeting and you feel nervous about speaking up. This is extremely normal, very fair. Even if you have gone through this master class, you did everything that was told today, still you're going to be nervous about speaking up. Okay, so this is for you to feel and go through, but still I would say go prepared with one thoughtful question: that today I'm going to this meeting, this is what is it about, what is the client expected to talk about, and try to prepare one thoughtful point or a question for discussion that will mark your presence, that will also create impact. Even if that question is not very detailed one, prepare one small question that will also help you to overcome your own nervousness. All right, so that's the last part I have for today's session. There will be a lot of obstacles, friends, and each one have to go through these obstacles. It's not that it's only few of them who go through it, few of them just succeed like that. It doesn't happen. Everyone has their own story, and obstacles are going to come as new professions. So the only thing that you could do is to keep developing, keep implementing the feedback that you get, handling pressure, how you're going to react differently every time. Keep reflecting on things. That's how it's going to help you to come over these obstacles. Uh, a very small story over here. For example, a new trainee like what you are today, tomorrow you go to a workplace and you spend a lot of hours to perfect a submission of your project to your boss. But the situation is this trainee's boss had asked her to prepare only a 3-line summary for the meeting, and that's when she realized in workplace clarity and outcome matters than the effort. So as Bernie mentioned, her mentor taught her this, that if you are going to talk so much and don't have a good headline, don't have a summary line, it is of no use for the manager. So do what is asked and make sure that you are delivering it from an outcome perspective. No one is going to recognize your effort unless and until the outcome is achieved. Okay, so I'll leave you all with that particular thought, and I'm towards the end of the slides. uh, I would ask Kanchana, Bernie, if you have any thoughts to add before I just conclude this.
Thank you, Shraddha. Once again, amazing session and amazing insights. And definitely, we will edit the recorded video and make it crisp and kind of make it bite size and share with everyone. And all the participants, thank you for participating. It was glad to see a big number coming and taking advantage of Shraddha's not only experience but her generosity to offer her knowledge to all of you. So please take advantage of that and share with your group and your community, and reach out to us if you guys and girls have any question at any given point in time. Once again, I wish you all of you very, very best for your college years, internships, jobs, and everything. And wherever we can help you, just reach out to us and we'll be very happy to support you guys in any ways.